everything was a lie. Everything from head to toe was a lie. And we just talked about how the globalists are ultimately selfish and only care about...
Most of the globalists don't have children.
And of course, because they're selfish.
Here's the thing. You guys are all attacking the globalists, but if you ask a globalist, like I have friends who I would consider globalists.
Set up a intellectual debate between, the Alex Jones, Elon Musk, Andrew Tate against the Klaus Schwabs, the Bill Gateses of the world. And then there's others.
They won't do it because we'll kill them.
Welcome back to Rattlesnake TV, guys. In this video, we're going to be reviewing one of the most important conversations of our time between Elon Musk, Vivek Ramaswamy, Andrew Tate, Alex Jones, Patrick Bet-David, and more. And for those of you guys who watch the channel, you'll know that this panel is like my wet dream. And throughout this video, I'm going to explain just why I believe this is of such a profound magnitude. And just for some context, for those of you who aren't aware, the reason why this Twitter Spaces took place was because Alex Jones has just been reinstated to Twitter, which is absolutely massive. And you might be thinking, it's just a Twitter account, who cares? But it's more than that. It's like being banished into the Siberian wilderness and then being allowed back into the town square. It's a big deal.
It's awful, isn't it?
I didn't want to believe you.
And when it comes to this conversation, Alex Jones is one of the most influential people in the world. And it just goes to show that he remained so popular during his cancellation. And for those of you who are following the story will know that the big reason why he got cancelled, why he wasn't allowed back on Twitter, etc., despite other reasons being given, was that he tried to say that the Sandy Hook school shooting was staged. Huge mistake. He's paid the price for it. Everybody needs to move on. So let's listen to the first bit where Elon actually grills him a little bit about this, and then Vivek Ramaswamy comes in and drops a little bit of wisdom. And this one is a Twitter space, guys, so there aren't actually any visuals, but I will add some in to make the viewing experience a little bit better.
Obviously, it would be like heartless and cruel to deny a school shooting of children, or to attack the parents or anyone who is involved. It seems that would be, just incredibly mean and cruel, frankly. So it's sort of, that's, I think, what a lot of people are upset about, or at least they think that is the reason to be upset about. And, if that were true, I think we would rightly be, upset with you.
Yeah, yes, sir. Well, please let me then just tell you what really happened, okay? And if you want me to send you a dossier with clips and videos and articles.
I mean, post it to your account,
Yes, sir, I will do that. So let me tell you what happened. I'm a guy that didn't go to college. I mean, a few years of community college. I started out on Access TV 29 years ago. I was not professionally trained. And by 2000, I had 30 million viewers and listeners a day conservatively. I was the biggest show, as big as Rogan is now or bigger. And I had a very small operation and did not even understand how powerful I was. And so when that event, I just call it the school shooting, which I do believe happened 11 years ago, the internet exploded, and it was a top story for off and on for years with all these professors and former school safety people and all of them saying they believed it was a drill. And I simply covered them covering that. What was entered in court against me in both cases where I was found guilty by judges. There's a judge in Trump's case, not even a jury, in his real estate case. And then years later, after Trump got elected and after I was deplatformed, it made me bigger. And so suddenly I would wake up and there would be sometimes 100 articles or more a day, every major news channel saying that I was currently saying nobody died, currently sending people to their houses, currently peeing on graves. I didn't even know these people's names. I only said one of their names ever. Now, I believe their children died, and I understand all that.
Okay.
But I'm saying, imagine I was not deplatformed, no mention of the school shooting in Connecticut for like 6-7 years. Then they go back to my timeline, and it turns out it was a big New York PR firm, Democratic Party. They dredge it up. They run hundreds of articles, sometimes a day, but a week for over a year. Suddenly it becomes a big story again.
What's the PR firm?
Pardon me?
Which propaganda firm was this? PR is public relations is a propaganda word for propaganda. So I think we should call it propaganda firms, because that is in fact what they do. So what propaganda firm was this? I
will find the name as soon as I'm off, because I can't do 2 days. I'm not good at doing 2 days at once. I can't walk and chew bubblegum, but I will post it to the 2X, because after they got their $1.5 billion judgment and asked for 2.67 trillion, that the GDP of India, I'm not joking, folks, that's Bloomberg. They then came out and bragged that they had quarterbacked the whole thing. They're one of the biggest. They do the UN's PR.
Okay.
Not that they had quarterbacked quote, destroying Alex Jones.
Guys, if you're enjoying this video and if you like seeing me break down these longer form conversations, don't forget to chuck a like on this, help me to spread it far and wide. And if you'd like to subscribe to the channel to get value from this content, then please feel free to do so below. Back to the clips.
I don't know how we handle this, but I think the government and the media and the think tanks and the PR firms, the propaganda firms, as Elon rightfully said, have been lying professionally so much, they've poisoned the well where no one knows what to believe. That's because you don't cut somebody's tongue out.
Yeah.
Even if I did bad things in the past. And I certainly wasn't
but you know what? But if people say false things, they deserve to have the consequences for that particular speech aired out in the marketplace of opinions. And community notes is one feature of doing that. And I think that's a legitimate discussion to have. But the idea, first of all, let's just make the observation that if somebody has once said a bad thing, then they'd be restrained from speaking. Most people who have been in a position of prominence in the U.S. federal government would not be allowed to speak again in other forums if that was the standard we were applying, right? I mean, you think about anybody who's been in the CIA or the FBI in a position of saying that the Hunter Biden laptop story was false or COVID didn't start in a lab in China. So we could go down that whole rabbit hole. But,
Well, yeah, I mean, as Alex said earlier, I mean, and this is not meant to be any kind of attack on George Bush, but George Bush II did say that there were WMDs in Iraq. He said it not once, but many times, and a lot. He did not have sufficient evidence to make that.
And a lot more people died as a consequence of that statement.
Exactly.
That Alex Jones has incorrect.
So I really do think that Vivek is absolutely correct there. If we just spent all of our time grilling everybody for everything that they've ever done and said and everything that they were ever wrong about, then everybody would have a case to answer for. Nobody's perfect around here. We must also look at what they've been right about. What are their motives? What kind of a person are they? Do they seek truth or do they seek money, power, and fame? And I mean, Alex Jones, he's a crazy sort of cat, but he's also been right about a lot of things. Technically, they were turning the frogs gay.
I don't like them putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay.
He predicted 9/11. And if you guys haven't seen the footage of Alex Jones, I think in the 1990s, sneaking into Bohemian Grove, where he filmed rich, famous, powerful people doing some sort of satanic ceremony worshipping an owl god, then you should check that out. This is a guy who is involved with the extreme. And when you're involved with the extreme like this, then you're going to make some mistakes. And sometimes those mistakes might be pretty bad ones. And now let's have a listen to Andrew Tate entering the conversation and having a back and forth with Elon.
Can you hear me?
We can, yeah. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, friend. I'm in the middle of a poker game, but since this is the battle for humanity against the Satanists with its constant deception of the populace, I thought I would jump in and say hello to everybody.
Your thoughts, Andrew? We had your brother on earlier, Tristan come on earlier. Your thoughts on Alex Jones being back on X?
Yeah, well, Alex is certainly a friend of mine. I've known him for a long time, and I'm extremely happy he's back. I've celebrated that publicly, but Alex nailed it. Elon is taking the biggest risk here. It takes unlimited energy to propagate lies. You have to continually repeat them, and you have to continue to try and falsify information and hide the truth to keep lies afloat. And this simple purchase, you call it simple, the purchase of a simple website has literally cracked the matrix in real time, and it becomes extremely difficult now to run the psyops they were previously running and enslave the populace, which is their primary goal. So Elon is a hero, absolutely. And the risks you are taking, Elon, I don't think many people at home actually understand the gravity of the risks you are taking, because your ability to speak freely is heavily leveraged against your insignificance. You're only allowed to speak if nobody listens to you. And if you get big and people start listening, they're going to come at you hard. And I think I'm not completely versed, but from what I understand, Elon's already suffering the lawfare tactics, which they're going to do. They're going to keep pulling out the hat to try and slow him down.
Andrew, let me interrupt before I forget. I don't give him any attention. The same law firm that came after me with these PR firms, there is a 3-letter agency running this. Not all of them, but let's just say it starts with a C and it ends with an A. Sorry, go ahead, Andrew.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's liberal NGOs which will sponsor agents of the Matrix. They'll sponsor females to end up in a house party and then lie to try and then put you in a Romanian jail cell and get you sitting with the cockroaches in a dungeon. And it's a very scary world where you get to a point where you're only trying to tell the truth, and they're going to punish you for that using endless lawfare. And this battle has only just begun. But the Matrix has truly cracked now, and it's going to be extremely hard to lie to us like they did before with X, the way it currently is. And I think it came at exactly the right time. I almost, without trying to sound pessimistic, there was a point where I kind of felt like I was losing hope. You couldn't tell the truth about anything. Everything was a lie. Everything from head to toe was a lie. And they're trying to lock us all back in our houses again. And we can finally talk about it. It's truly heroic. And Elon's taking massive risk, and the respect I have for him for doing that is enormous.
Absolutely. I mean, this is what happened. I'm going to shut up because I want to hear from Elon, but this is so historic. Elon Musk's courage, and it's true, I'm saying, has broken the back of the globalists. They'll never be able to turn this around again unless they have a nuclear war. Elon Musk has broken their back.
Yeah. Well, I guess some people are afraid to die, but I am not.
And you know what? It's kind of crazy because I was talking to someone the other day and I was explaining, they were asking about my seizure, how they took all my houses, all my money, all my cars, blah, blah. And I said, you never truly own anything on this earth anyway. You can have a piece of paper that says you own it, but if you piss off the government structures, they just get a judge to stamp a different piece of paper and you no longer own it. The only thing you own is your soul and your integrity. And this is the one thing they cannot take away from you no matter what they do to you. And that is the best feeling on earth. It doesn't matter if you can sell your soul to the devil and repeat what they want you to say, but then you truly own nothing. And
Yeah,
I think
I
that as history books look back on this pivotal moment when X was finally freed and the information of the world could finally be spoken freely, I really do believe we're on the right side of history. And if you were to ask me if there's anything worth dying for, it would be for the freedom of humanity and to be on the right side of history. So I agree with you absolutely. Elon.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just generally in favor of civilization and the furtherance of civilization. And I think we should always be concerned that we can regress as a civilization. And if you study history, you just see the arc of one civilization after another as the civilizations rise and fall through history. We've been in a period of civilization rising very rapidly, but we should be concerned that we may be cresting, we may subside. And there are many times where I get late stage civilization vibes, and I'm just worried that maybe we're cresting as a civilization and have set it for a fall. So, yeah.
Well, I agree with you because I truly believe, and a lot of people have said this before me, this is not an original idea, but I think as AI and machines and tech increases, a lot of people are going to be deemed useless by the overlords. And then you have to sit and decide, what are they going to do with all these people who have hopes and dreams and they want healthcare and they want a garden and they want a house to live in and they don't want to be treated like cattle? They're going to become extremely inconvenient. So I don't think many people at home understand that this war cannot be avoided. I've had a lot of people who understand why they threw me in jail in Romania and understood I've done nothing wrong. And they said to me, why do you take up this fight? Why you don't just delete your Twitter and disappear and drive a Ferrari all day? And I explained that this war cannot be avoided. You're either on the front line and you're fighting for something, or you're sitting waiting to die. You're waiting for the Mongol horde to come over the horizon and chop your head off.
I totally agree.
I'm extremely grateful that Andrew took some time out of his high-stakes poker game to join this high-stakes conversation. And I tend to think the same as him in the sense that we are all in this fight whether we know it or not. Some of us choose to lean into it directly, some of us choose to kick the can down the road, and others choose to just bury their head in the sand and act like nothing's wrong. And I see this a lot, especially when it comes to constantly acquiescing to the new rules that are enforced every 5 minutes. Yeah, I'll call that man and address she if it means I don't hurt their feelings. Yeah, I mean, I guess the kids can have the surgery. We wouldn't want them to delete themselves now, would we? Yeah, I mean, I can see how that song, movie, or book would be offensive. We should just cancel it. Maybe white people are just inherently racist and we should let the activists play Bernie Looty for a little while because they're probably just hungry. And I'll wear the 6 masks and take all of the jabs because the science, etc., etc., bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. You see, the fight that we're in has been going on for a while now, and it's accelerated heavily over the past 5 years or so. And this is largely due to the apathy of everyday people, and obviously those in power for that matter. But we've become so collectively demoralized, and we just see this as such an uphill battle where we can't make a difference. That instead of taking a stand, whether that be large or small, we choose to make 1,000 concessions. And now onto the next part where they talk about interstellar travel and globalists. And I can't overstate how important this sector of the conversation is.
And Elon Musk is saying, correct me if I'm wrong, you don't stay in stasis. You either expand or you collapse.
Yes, exactly. You either grow or you collapse. You don't. The steady state is basically an impossibility. So you have to pick it. You have to make a choice. Do you want to grow civilization or do you want to decline and collapse? Because steady state is not stable. So, and I say we grow, and I say we expand, and we have more humans, and we become a multi-planet species and a spacefaring civilization, and ultimately be out there among the stars. And I think that is the exciting, inspiring thing for the future, not a declining human civilization that dwindles to nothingness and where humanity dies with a whimper.
And that's the bottom line. I think it is the battle of people who believe in humans and humanity and want it to expand against people who are so selfishly going through the earth and so selfishly oriented that they don't care about expanding civilization. They just want to control the humans that are currently here.
And Andrew, I totally agree with you. I totally agree. Let me throw this caveat on it because I've read the writings of Bill Gates and Klaus Schwab and the Club of Rome. They know we could easily expand. There's plenty of room, hundreds of billions of known galaxies. They know that this is just a seed that's going to not just grow into one giant oak, but an entire forest, an entire universe. And so they want to shut everybody else down because they can't deal with competition. Elon Musk to come out of the general public. They want a global tyranny so they can direct it and control it, so that they direct the expansion. And we can't let that happen because they literally talk about it. Agenda 20, the official UN plan, a 90% world population. So we need to go with the Elon Musk plan. And that's why I tell people that get upset, they go, Elon Musk is involved in every advancing technology. The globalists are pushing that too. Well, technology is like a gun. It's whose hand it's in. And so we need the gun in the people's hands, the gun of expansion, instead of in the globalist hands. And so just because Elon Musk is on the cutting edge of every technology, don't fear the technology like some troglodyte. Fear us not being in control of it. And Elon is saying we need it to be an expansionary human explosion of competition and freedom, not some new dark age with a tiny breakaway civilization that's only working for itself. Sorry, I'm ranting.
But no, but you're completely right, because if Elon doesn't push these boundaries, they will push these boundaries. And once they have the sole control and the monopoly over such technologies, it's over for all of us. And I don't think most people understand. It simply is the humanistic view against the death cult view. And there's people in the world who have they have no interest in growing humanity, no interest in advancing the species as a whole. Their interest is in power and control. And all they want to do is have absolute power over the people that currently exist. And you can talk about all the perverse reasons they want to do those exact things. But it's truly scary. And all the people at home who don't really understand the gravity of this fight, they seem to think it's right wing, left wing.
Yes, exactly. They're thinking about it the wrong way. Sorry, I just got a little X here. You're totally exactly. This right, left is the wrong way to think about it. It's the sort of the extinctionists versus the pro-humans. And once you see that it's extinctionists versus the pro-humans, then it becomes very clear.
Truthfully, it's so amazing we'd even speak about these things. Only 2 years ago, you couldn't even speak about these subjects, but it's so pertinently obvious to anyone who pays attention. And it is scary. And expansion and humanistic views are certainly the way to progress. And it has to be done. There's no other way. Just like a business, just like you guys said, if you stand still, you die. And it takes a few brave people to break the matrix. You have to break the dam. And I think bravery is so important because it puts a crack in the dam, and it shows that if there's people out there brave enough to risk getting canceled, risk lawfare, then it's going to inspire bravery amongst the rest of the populace. And it becomes extremely hard to lie to brave. And I think that's one of the largest pandemics of Earth today is bravery. And when I say bravery, I don't mean that in any kind of negative connotation. Bravery is being full of love and loving the people around you and sticking up for your community and loving where you live and loving your country. And it's brave to do those things. And it's love.
What do the globalists teach us? Children are bad. We're ugly. Humans create all this racial division. They want us to hate each other, so we just give up, roll over, so the globalists can have the future.
I would just like to say here,
the globalists are short-sighted too, because the thing is that you can't really separate yourself from civilization. So I think those who are sort of advocating, like it's really, I think it's just logical to be pro-civilization. You don't actually necessarily have to be altruistic. You just have to think long-term and say, obviously, you cannot exist in a good way without civilization. I mean, just watch one episode of Naked and Afraid and see how much you want to go live in a forest by yourself.
We're in a super pivotal moment now. And the reason we're in a pivotal moment is because the machines cannot do the policing as of yet. My brother and I often talk about how bad COVID would have been if they had Terminator machines. You didn't have your mask on. You couldn't even appeal to the empathy of the person who knew how insane it all was. As soon as the machines control the policing, it's absolutely over. And we're not that far away. So we're in a very pivotal period now where the bravery that's required to resist the globalist oppression has to happen now.
So just so many points here. I mean, the biggest pandemic in the world is the pandemic of bravery. Facts. It's not about left or right. It's about pro-human versus anti-human. I do agree with that, although I do understand that the battle between left and right in terms of the political spectrum at a more local level is important. But in the bigger picture, it is ultimately about pro versus anti-human in this debate. It's the people who want to further our civilization, who want to raise the birth rate, and who wish the best for the developing world and want to see their economies grow and prosper, versus those who see themselves as elite and who see us as just useless eaters and would rather see the population just dwindle. And like Tate said there, we are in a position now where the machines don't have the power. But if the machines do become the police, then we are actually screwed. And you might be thinking to yourself, Jake, that just sounds like some sort of Blade Runner conspiracy theory garbage. But if you think about it, once artificial intelligence becomes powerful enough, why would they want human beings enforcing the law? human beings that can be dissidents, human beings that can say no or have a moral compass. And COVID is the perfect example. Do you think during that time, if they had the technology available to them, that governments would have so much as hesitated to get some robo-cops on the street enforcing mask wearing? I know for a fact that my Australian government would have jumped at the chance. And you know what's even scarier? That most of the population would have cheered it on. I mean, if it was a time of emergency and desperate times call for desperate measures, and it's for your safety, and the robot police can't spread the virus, but human police can. And hold on, why would you even care if there is robot police? Because if you're wearing your mask, then you won't get in trouble from the robot police. So just wear your mask and shut up, idiot. Plus, why would we care about the freedoms of anti-vaxxers and anti-maskers? Ask yourself that, guys. And now on to the next part where there's a bit of a debate about the term globalist.
Something that is really important is like, you just literally have to have kids or there's no next generation. Alex, do you have kids?
Yes, I do. I'm not as prolific as you, but I wish I was. They're the best thing in my life. I have 4.
Okay, great. And Andrew?
I do have a few. I won't let you down, Elon. I'm coming to take over your title. I'm coming to take over. I'm doing my best. You know, I gotta use my good looks for something.
Well, I think we ought to encourage people to have kids.
And this is the bottom line argument. This is what is so important. We just talked about how the globalists are ultimately selfish and only care about...
most of the globalists don't have children. And
of course, because they're selfish.
Here's the thing. You guys are all attacking the globalists, but if you ask a globalist, like I have friends who I would consider globalists. You ask them, their ideologies are aligned that they believe that somebody living across the world is just as valuable as somebody who lives in America. And I know, there's
they've already enslaved the third world, and then
that's not how everybody who you would categorize as.
No, you're right. There's a lot of useful idiot globalists. Globalists at the top are depopulationists. That's their religion.
So maybe if you want to look at the top, you can say globalists at the top. Some of them might have that view, but if you just talk to an ordinary person who views themselves as a globalist, they're not saying, oh, I'm evil. They're not an evil person. They just have this belief that every human being around the globe is equal.
I would call that an internationalist. That's an internationalist. A globalist wants one world government run by corporations.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think you can label them differently, but I think if you talk to somebody...
Well, Henry Kissinger was a globalist. Victor Brzezinski was a globalist. I'm not trying to be mean to you, but their number one rule is the earth is too small. We can't expand. We've got to bean count and put everybody on rations. We've got to social engineer and end the normal human program because humans are failed. And they want to turn us into factory farm humans. Those are allowed to survive.
I'll answer the question.
Sorry, guys. If I can just say, like, some of these titles are a little confusing. If someone's an internationalist or a globalist, I think what can achieve some disambiguation here is to say, like, does someone have as an axiomatic belief that there are too many people on the earth, or do they not? Do they believe that the Earth can sustain the current population, or do they think it cannot? Now, the reality is Earth can actually handle a human population probably 10 times larger than the current population. Earth is actually very sparsely populated by humans. We only see density because if we're in a dense urban environment like New York or Boston, London, or something like that. But here would be like a good test. If you took a plane from LA to New York and you try to drop a bowling ball and hit somebody, your chances of success are basically zero.
You'd have to drop 10,000 bowling balls, maybe.
Yes. You just, and I'll tell you sort of something that may scare people a little bit, is that there are thousands of objects falling onto Earth from space all the time. But how often do you hear about someone actually getting hit by falling by meteorites?
Absolutely.
There's one known case of a woman at her house getting hit by one.
What I do believe is black and white is simply, if you read a history book, you'll see the worst things that humanity have ever done have been done with good intentions. That's what's so bad about evil acts, is that people think they're doing the right thing. And that's the most dangerous thing about it. And this idea that they look at all human life as sacred and all the same, I actually disagree. I think the reason they will prioritize people in a third world country, for example, you'll say it's because they see us as equal. I think it's because they see us now as spoiled and annoying. They don't like that we need pensions and living space and healthcare. They simply want slaves and a robot class, and they'll do anything it takes to get it, and they'll get it from anywhere they can. And when someone comes along and says, well, my intentions are good, I'm not interested in that, because you can name any Holocaust or any atrocity in history that people didn't think they were the bad guys. They often thought they were the good guys. And I guess the easy way to look at life is you want to be having as many children as possible. You want to pray other people do the same, and you want those people to enjoy freedom. And anyone who's coming along restricting speech, restricting access to certain things, restricting movement, all they're doing is trying to restrict so they can control. And nobody in a history book ever who did that either was the good guy. I think it's very clear to see who's on the right side of history and who isn't. And I advocate freedom for everybody. If I disagreed with absolutely everything Alex said, I'd still be glad he's back on X. And these people can't even handle a different opinion. Do you think they're going to allow the people of a different opinion to them to share water or share food or share anything else once they have?
And the reason they don't want another opinion is they want to misrepresent what Elon Musk or Andrew Tate or Vivek Ramaswamy or any of, I'm telling you, they want us silenced so they can lie about what we said.
I agree that with you there. I think that a lot of the media and a lot of these platforms do want to silence voices because they want their voice to be heard louder. So yeah, I definitely hear you there. I definitely don't. I definitely, as when it comes to globalists, I think, you know, it's not black and white. You're not either a globalist or you're not. I think people fall in between, and there's different reasons for why people might feel one way about one, you know, you could say globalist idea and another. So I mean, I don't like painting people like, you know, with a black and white pen, because I feel that everybody falls somewhere in the middle.
All I know is this, that there are people that want a corporate world government whose aim is depopulation, not giving the general public access to technology, by lying about resources and literally saying carbon dioxide that plants breathe is evil.
I love the part where Alex Jones says, "I'm not trying to be mean to you," which basically means, dude, you have no idea what you're talking about. And I mean, the globalists or the anti-human Malthusians are certainly no champions of the third world. The energy policies that they would like to bring about will destroy the economies of developing nations. And the food shortages that are happening and going to only intensify over the next few years due to the attack on farming and agriculture is almost certainly going to cause famines and the death of millions upon millions of people globally.
We do know that global energy systems, food systems, and supply chains will be deeply affected.
And the effect of that, certainly not going to be felt most on our local supermarkets. But to be fair to him, I think he's more referring to the idea of globalization and the trade between the first and the third world. And he's not quite getting the concept. The globalists are the ones who are interested in centralizing the power and decision-making to Davos and reducing the population of the Earth to save the planet, if we're just blunt about it. So with that, have some kids, guys, don't listen. And now on to the next part, which is a fascinating conversation that's harmonized by the sound of Vivek Ramaswamy taking a pee and forgetting that his microphone's on.
And then telling us the world's going to end in 2030 and the ice caps are all going to melt, and none of that's true. So our children basically give up on the future, decide not to have children. That's all I'm saying. And Elon Musk is promoting an optimistic, pro-human future that the science and evidence shows is real and that we need.
Gentlemen, I have to go.
Yeah, I just want to be sort of exactly. I want to be very clear about my position. I'm super pro-human, and I mean all humans. You know, humans in America, humans in
Somebody's got
Africa, and everywhere else.
Their phone open in the bathroom.
Yeah, that's Vivek. Vivek, that's your phone, Vivek. I'm not able to mute you. Vivek, go ahead, Elon.
Sorry about that.
So, well, I hope you feel better.
I feel great. Thank you. Sorry about that, guys.
So, yeah, you know, I'm super pro-human, like for Team Humanity here, and I just think we want to make sure that people have a positive view of the future. And like, I think I encounter a lot of people who have actually very pessimistic conclusions about the future. And if you try to unpack that and say, where does that pessimism come from? And I think like these are like, you know, good people, like they have good intentions. I think they think about things and come from is believing that there are too many humans on the planet. This is false. Earth can easily sustain far more than the current population. But they've been told this thing and they've believed it, and it is false. And I'm very pro-environment, obviously.
Bye, Andrew.
I might have done more, you know, I might have done more, you know, for sustainable energy than maybe any single human. So I would consider myself an environmentalist, but I also believe in physics and reality and not sort of being alarmist about things. And
well, something you said was really smart, and I've seen the equations. I'm not a mathematician or rocket scientist like you, but we need the fossil fuels to get to the new technologies, and you can't cut them all off and then not have it. They're blowing up the bridge that gets them there.
I would like to say, my final point, I would like to say, I often get asked by people who follow me, they say, who do you think who controls the world? Who do you think the Matrix is? And I use the Matrix as a very simple way to explain that they purport a false version of reality that everyone buys into to keep your mind occupied so they can extract your body heat from you for the soulless machines, which are essentially the globalists we're talking about. And I try and say that I still believe that we run the world. There's a lot more of us than them. We still control the world. It's just down to what we will accept. and what will allow them to do to us. And that's why bravery is so essential and so important. And I know I can come across as brash with my message, but
no, you're not.
I'm telling
Giving up
16-year-olds,
power.
when I'm telling 16-year-olds to go and get rich and buy a fast car and train hard and go to the gym, etc., because these young men are far less likely to blindly comply. And it's extremely important that they don't psyop the next generation of young masculine youth.
And that's why the system was scared of you, Andrew, because you were doing a version of it to shock them out of it, to show them how to have a destiny, how to have desire, how to want to be into the future. And that's the same thing in a different.
You're right. We still control the world, and it's down to what we will accept. And it's going to take bravery and love. You need to love the people around you and love the human race and love the place you're from. And I just want to wrap up by saying that I would never kill myself. And if they put me back in that dungeon to starve, I hope you will all do your very best to get me out.
So as we try and decouple our brains from the sound of Vivek Ramaswamy taking a pee, let me just reiterate that as hopeless as things seem sometimes, there is nothing that these godless tyrants fear more in the world than a genuine great awakening. They are terrified of the idea of bands of dissident men getting together and saying, no, we are not going to take it lying down. If you want to take our freedoms from us, come and get it. If you want to muzzle me, then go ahead. But there's someone coming right behind me to fill my shoes. But what's even more than that, in my mind, is they fear powerful men with great influence coming together and forming alliances. Of course they want us divided. What do you think Klaus Schwab and Bill Gates and Larry Fink and George Soros and all of these tyrants think when they see Elon Musk, Andrew Tate, Vivek Ramaswamy, Patrick Bet-David, Alex Jones, all getting together and forming a coalition of dissident and influential men taking arms in the same ranks? They would be shaking in their boots. And I'm just hoping that they realize they've got a fight on their hands now, and it's much, much easier to stand in the shadows and pull strings than it is to actually go toe-to-toe on the battlefield. And now on to the next part where a very interesting question is asked.
This is really a question for Alex and Elon, and a statement, and I wish Andrew and Vivek were still on. You know, we've talked about these different sort of array of forces between, you know, the globalists and the humanists, or whatever the right descriptors are. You know, what I would really like to see, and I would love to hear Vivek's take on it, because I think he's such a wonderful debater. I'd like to know if there's possibility to set up a intellectual debate between, you know, the Alex Jones, Elon Musk, Andrew Tate, Vivek, probably throw Tucker in there. Maybe there's Joe Rogan, against a debate, an intellectual debate against the Klaus Schwabs, the Bill Gateses of the world. And then there's others.
They won't do it because we'll kill them.
I disagree. I mean, this is how we fight today, right? We are fighting in an information domain. Andrew, I wish he was still on because I'd love to hear his take. Because, Andrew starts to imply, and there's a lot of people that imply this, we're going to move to something that we don't want to, a place that we don't want to be, because of this. Frankly, what I see is a globalist takeover, and I'm all with you, Alex, and you and I have talked about this a lot. But what I would really like to see is an intellectual debate and a challenge. Otherwise, because 2024 is going to be, for the United States, is going to be a historically consequential moment in history. And I would prefer that extraordinary session that I've been listening to for the last couple of hours here. And I would really like to hear, at least Alex, because you're on, and I think Elon's. What do you think about setting up some type of intellectual debate, or at least array
on X? On X,
yeah,
while doing it through Spaces.
Well, on X, on X, or however, I would love to see them come on X to do this, because this would be wonderful.
Alex, would you be open, you and Elon, would you be open for such a debate?
Well, let me just throw this thing, because I'm chomping at the bit here, and then Elon will take over. It should be on X. They had the last Republican debate, and it had like 5 million viewers. This is going to have 50 million viewers. We keep acting like dinosaur media even still matters. It should only be held on X. And I would love to see it in this format, or with an added video component to it.
Yeah.
Yes. Challenge their intellectual idea. I'm sorry. Okay. That's my point. That's my point. Yeah. We have to challenge their intellectual arguments.
And General Flynn did bring up the best question in the last 2 hours. So I'm sorry I was getting so excited and interrupted the General. He's absolutely right. We should be challenging them to debate us. I agree with you, General. That's really a key point. I'm saying they're too cowardly to do it.
Yeah, I don't know how you do it, but I know that that we have to do it. We don't have I think we are in a place where we don't have a choice right now. I think the intellectual arguments on their side, I just think that they're going to fall flat, and they don't really have a good argument. And Elon mentioned it early on about, how much energy it takes to lie. I mean, it just does, to lie to so many damn people. But we have to pick this fight. It has to be intellectual. Our intellectual arguments are much, much stronger. And I just think we have to have the right type of people. And, those people have been on here today, and invite these people. I mean, if they don't want to come, we call them out as cowards.
So obviously on the surface, that seems a little bit naive, that question, because we know that these people would never, ever get on a Twitter space and debate it. But I think that the clever part about that question is what he said at the end there, which is, let's call them out, which in my mind looks like we'll call them out. Everyone who's been on this call will sign on the dotted line, we'll try and make it official, and we will wait for their response. And if they don't respond, if they choose to cower out, then we plaster it all across the internet and we expose them for the cowards that they are. We show that the emperor wears no clothes, and those people who want to govern your life are actually weak individuals. And now to round it out, let's have a listen to Patrick Bet David.
Fantastic. I don't have any questions. I just have a comment to make. The biggest thing is, and I heard Jason's question, and I know Alex answered it at the beginning with Elon, opening it up with him. I had Alex on, I don't know, Alex, it was a couple months ago or something you were on. We had a great exchange together. The best part about this is the following. I applaud Elon for the fact that, just a few months ago, he said he's not going to have Alex on. And then after seeing what the audience wants, the survey comes to 70-30, and keeping that commitment for allowing Alex to be on. The people who have different strong opinions, who are humanists, who want to defend freedom of speech, defend the same rights that we have, we're finding each other. And I just want everybody to remember this. Go back to September of 2022. When Professor Galloway said Elon is full of it, he's not going to buy it, he's toying with all of you. And then Elon bought the company, whatever the price of the company was. Some said it was 50% more. It was a $20 billion company, $30 billion company. He paid the entire number. He didn't have to do this. If that purchase wasn't to be made, think about where America would be today. I want everybody to think about that part. It's been 13 months since then. It's pissed a lot of people off. The fact that, Elon, I applaud you for standing up to folks who you're saying what you're saying to advertisers, where what do you have to do? Be a slave to them? They have to constantly put that fear in you. We applaud you. You got a lot of people backing you up. Alex, it's great to have you back on. Pushing the envelope. You could be wrong. Everybody could be wrong. It's not like all of us are always right. We have the ability to be wrong. And when we are, and people can challenge us and move on, and, then they can make a decision. Either, look, I don't like Alex or I like Alex. Great, no problem. That's the freedom of, you have to pick and choose to like somebody's views or not. But the biggest factor here is somebody had the courage to use their resources to buy a platform like this, to give everybody else the freedom to debate, to argue, to give their thoughts, to give their opinions. And then at the same time, if you're wrong, you admit to it. If you're not, you stick to your guns. But best part on what's going on to the world right now is we are finding each other. The fighters are finding each other. And that has got to be a very scary thing to people who oppose the concept of freedom of speech. So I have no question for Alex. I have no questions for Elon. I just wanted to jump in and applaud everybody, even those who debate, even those who agree, even those who disagree. Future looks bright. The right people are finding each other. And I applaud all of you. That's all I wanted to say. So.
Patrick, beautifully said, brother. Remember, Patrick, I apologize for Sandy Hook on your show 5 years ago.
I remember that.
Patrick, question for you then, that you've been here a few times and you've uploaded Spaces and X. When is the show? I think you've got 2 million subscribers on YouTube. When will the X version launch?
When will the X version launch? I've never had a conversation with Elon. We've never had a sit down. I totally support what they're doing. Right now, what we're doing is we're starting to upload all our episodes on X, as well as we're putting on other platforms. But the direction this is going, with a few asks that was made where we can now watch the video on 2.0 speed. I'm a 2.0 speed guy. I like to speed it up.
X marks the spot. X is it.
No, I totally see it going that direction. But no, I mean, look what's going on right now. Look at this live. How many people are on right now? I don't know what the number is.
118,000.
119,000 on a Sunday, where I'm sitting in my backyard right now watching my 4 kids play soccer, and we're able to jump on and have a conversation like this. This is insane. The power of what's going on with this.
This is the future.
I think this is just the beginning, and the right guy is driving it. So future looks bright.
So PBD sums it up perfectly there, guys. And make no mistakes, this is a genuinely monumental moment. We are seeing this band of dissident Avengers coming together and forming this coalition to resist a genuine global tyranny. And this is facilitated by the fact that Elon Musk owns X. And now the balance of power is being shifted. And there is a genuine great awakening taking place. And I'm here for it. So guys, as usual, check me out down below. If you guys would like to subscribe to the channel, you can click here. If you'd like to watch another video, right here. Till next time, I'm Jake. This is RattlesnakeTV, keeping you armed and dangerous.